Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I'm your host, Maryann Petri, and since 2016, Monica Shimonik has been coaching moms and dads as they navigate through the treacherous waters of the family law racket. Aside from workshops, which helps with specific problems, her 12-week signature course, The Best Interest of the Parent, uses a 4-quadrant model to create a robust healing and empowerment system so that you control the narrative in your life, not the state. Use coupon code SLAMTHEGAVEL to get 10% off the course, and you can find this in the podcast notes. I've got a really awesome guest on. Her name is Samantha Baldwin. She is from Manchester, UK. She's campaigning to expose the family court since losing custody of her sons to their abuser and being accused of his crime, which was drugging her sons. It is a criminal enterprise, and her job is to expose it. She hopes to make changes to the system one day and will fight until her sons are home safe with her. And she has been vindicated, which is so important. She has also written the book, Everything is Going to Be Okay, which is available on Amazon and Kindle. And it had to be fictionalized for legal reasons. She hopes this book will help many children and their safe parents. So I welcome you, Samantha Baldwin from Manchester, UK. How are you doing this
I'm,
afternoon for you?
yes, 2 p.m. Yeah, thank you. I'm well, thank you, Maryann. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. So you have a lot to tell us about your book. How long did it take to write this?
It probably took about a year actually, which is pretty fast going given the fact that I've not written a book before, but I knew I had to do it. So I literally put every minute of every day into the book, and spent just, it was very difficult to write, as you can imagine, just revisiting those very dark and painful, excruciating times. So it was difficult, yeah, very
Mhm.
difficult. But I knew it had to be done, and I'm glad. I'm glad
Mhm.
that the book's been released and it's out there. I just wanted to say in your introduction, Maryann, won't stop until I'm vindicated. So I haven't been vindicated yet.
Mhm.
So in the
Mhm.
court's eyes, and with the family court, I've still got findings against me that are false, with the drugging of my children
Mm.
and emotional harm of my children, etc. It's entirely false. So I won't stop until I'm vindicated. But more importantly, until my sons are home and safe with me. So I just thought I'd say that. But,
Mhm. Oh,
but
that's
yes,
okay. Now,
yeah.
do you have a barrister working with you on that?
Not right now, no. I am pushing. I am literally trying everything, but I've literally, gone through appeal process and had every door closed in my face up to now. And currently I've been banned. I've had what's called a section 91(4) order placed against me, which is what they call it here in the UK, and banned me from making any applications to court for 4 years. So I'm trying to fight that. But it comes with different roadblocks in the way, such as trying to get legal aid, because I lost every penny through the family court. So it's like walking uphill and then taking a few steps back. But I will carry on pushing until I get there.
Yeah, I just think that is so wrong. It's a 91(4) order. Where do they get off telling a parent that they can't come back and try to vindicate themselves?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
right.
Yeah,
And if you have a parent coming back and coming back, that must tell them something, that you want to clear your name. You think they'd
yeah.
want to say, well, this person keeps coming back and coming back. Maybe we should listen.
And you're trying to, like I've got solid scientific evidence that actually disproves that it was me who drugged my sons and my mother, because the judge dragged us both into the findings, said it was either or both. Can't
Mhm.
make his mind up. So
Mm.
I've got 2 past polygraph tests, lie detector test done by my mother and I, which we immediately took. I've also got very solid scientific evidence that disproves the timing of the drugging, as in the judge's findings. Because the hair samples show categorically that my sons were drugged as far back as the hair samples would allow. So the hair is like a calendar, average hair growing 1 centimetre a month. So if you've got a 6 centimetre hair sample, then that person has been taken or has been drugged, if it's a child, obviously, has been drugged for that length of time. The judge put it down to a particular month, of which I know they weren't drugged, December 2014, because they were in my safe care, because they lasted, well, they could have been drugged on the 1st of December, that's when he last saw them, but the rest of December, it's an impossibility, and he's putting it down to just a few weeks, when in fact, how does that explain drugs all the way to the tips of the hair in both my sons? So I've got expert evidence that says that is, much more likely to happen. But it's just all ignored. They literally, you'll know yourself, they choose what evidence to ignore and what evidence to give weight to, or to, just to pluck out of thin air, basically.
Yeah. Is this all in your book too?
The book travels, it goes up until, it is. Extracts of the reports are in there, the drug analysis reports. So, I mean, I've had to fictionalise names, etc., just to keep identities hidden. But yeah, essentially all the facts are in there, up until the boys were removed from my care. So much has happened since then, but I knew I had to cut it off then. Things can become a bit more, I don't know whether I'll ever write about this time, but it's not, again, it would have been very emotionally draining to kind of extend it beyond that. Maybe that's for another day. Plus it might be treading on, I don't know, with precarious grounds in relation to the legal side of things. So yeah, I just thought, I know some people have said, oh, it ends quite abruptly at that point, but I just knew it had to end there. The main thing was to expose what's happened to my sons, and from the family court removing my custody from there, and switching, using DAVO, deny, accuse, reverse, victim and offender. That is exactly what happened to me. They criminalised me, and then so the family court, obviously, as you know, works on a balance of probability. And then to get the police involved to uphold their orders and make them criminally bound turns so many innocent parents into criminals. Through breaking orders that have been illegally made in the first place upon no evidence.
And we have to explain to people that this can happen to anybody.
Oh yes, it really can. No one is safe. If you marry the wrong person, you're just not safe from the grips of these, or even, going into care proceedings as a couple, you're not safe. I'm talking about private law proceedings. That's how I lost my children. But also in public law, where the social services get involved and remove them from a safe couple. Nobody's safe from this criminal enterprise.
Well, I know they're all making money off of our suffering.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Not only are the parents suffering when their kids are taken away, but those kids are going through absolute hell.
It is. It's hell on earth, and they haven't got a voice, have they? So we have to speak up and be their voice.
Yes.
You wouldn't know. Like at the time, I went in blindly, and I hadn't done my research. I'd heard about one case, Victoria Haigh, over here in the UK, and I just thought, so it's a paedophile father, and she got her daughter taken off her, and she got accused of emotional harm. That was a few years ago, and they accused parental alienation, when in fact actually that happens to us safe parents after the children. The offender uses that on them. So I'd only heard about Vicky Haigh, and I just thought, I felt sick to the stomach hearing a story. This was just after my son's disclosed, but before, a couple of years before the family court removed my custody. So I felt sick, and I just thought, well, that must have been a particularly bad judge. That must be a really rare case. But I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and wished I would have done a bit more research, joined a few more groups, not place my trust in the system. But we are brought up to trust the system, though, aren't we? We kind of brainwash into it from a young age to trust the police, to trust judges. Oh, they're these upholding members of society who hate paedophiles and they hate other child abusers, and this, that, and the other, and we can trust these people, they've got our back. But no, they're criminals,
Mhm.
criminals in suits.
So you had custody of your kids, and then he made these accusations on you, and then he also put parental alienation on you as well.
Well, it started off with my eldest son disclosing. So, of course, once he disclosed, I believed him immediately. It wasn't like, no, that can't be true. It just made sense, the behaviours and everything, the emotional, and the not wanting to go with him. We'd been split up for 3.5 years at that point. So I went to the police, just assuming that we're going to get him. He's going to be punished for what he's done. He's going to be kept away from my children. I quickly
Mhm.
saw that the police were doing nothing.
Mm.
And then we found out it wasn't just him, it was a paedophile ring, because my sons are naming other people and going into detail. And I just thought, this is hell. My children, no, actually what my children have been through is hell. But this is just, we can't stay living in this area. So we literally abandoned our houses and just upped and left, thinking that that could keep them safe, naively, thinking that that could keep them safe moving 100 miles away. And then, so after he was released from his bail terms, the father, he then applied to family court and then turned it around and said he made an application that I'd emotionally harm the children. So that's how it started. And then I can't remember when parental alienation was brought up, but I'd not heard about that. I didn't know what it meant. And that they just use it falsely just to snatch children. I know there are real cases of it, whatever you want to call it. I know Mike Volpe just says they shouldn't call it that. They should just say bad behaviour. If you turn a child against a parent for no good reason, it's just bad behaviour. Whatever you want to call it. But they use it falsely, and then we end up being the ones who have the real parental alienation happening to us, if you want to call it that. So that wasn't a term I knew about, but I still had faith in the system,
Mhm.
not thinking that the judge was plotting to then accuse me of the drugging. I didn't know that that's what he was plotting, but I think he was plotting that from as soon as I submitted the results into court. I think, yeah, knowing now what I know about Judge Lee, anything's possible. He's a very unscrupulous man.
Mhm. Oh, I think for the most part, I think all of them are.
Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah,
I personally think family court should just be abolished and
yeah,
do something different. Because this is
absolutely. Get them bulldozed.
definitely,
And horrible, vile people who work for them as well, who just want to line the pockets with plenty of money.
because what's happened to you is a very similar situation that's happening to a lot of women.
Yeah,
And the thing is that these abusive men have used parental alienation and manipulated and twisted its meaning, and the courts are not addressing this issue. And when a parent impresses their views and emotions onto a kiddo, which leads the kiddo to reject the safe, targeted parent, then that is
yeah,
alienation.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
unfortunately, alienation exists, but it's being twisted to their own narrative.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
A lot of us moms are suffering from that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's hideous.
Mhm.
It's
You know,
heartbreaking.
and there are good dads out there too. I don't wanna
Yeah,
leave them out
yeah,
because there's a lot of good people out there that are suffering from this.
yeah. There are absolutely, and those ones stand out a mile. The parents who have been treated. The fathers who you can tell them a mile, and then the ones who are abusive to us, you can see they've got ulterior motives, and then you can see who they're following on Twitter as well, like my ex, and some of the other paedophiles in that paedophile ring. They're
Mhm,
particularly vile and harass victims of abuse.
mhm.
They
Yeah,
just show themselves very quickly on Twitter, I find.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, Twitter is also a good platform to air your views.
Yeah.
It's just disheartening because this is not stopping, and these judges, either they're too old, they don't understand, and they don't care,
Yeah.
and or hopefully, as these judges or these well, we have attorneys that turn into judges. don't know how that happens, but it does. And hopefully they will get better formal training on recognizing these personality disorders that are
Yeah,
coming to the court.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And obviously they've been trained into being very suspicious of any parent who brings abuse claims against the other parent. It's almost like done deal. No, we're going to look at you.
Mhm.
It's almost like that. That is the immediate opinion. And I think some of them are probably child abusers themselves, to put it bluntly, and they're just protecting their own.
Mhm. Oh,
I
I
think,
agree with that.
yeah,
It's just, it's a never-ending thing when you're hauled into court all the time. I don't know if this happened to you, but then you are called the vexatious litigious litigant. They
yeah,
they
absolutely.
they turn it on you, and I don't know if you had gone through a lot of that.
Yeah. Oh well, since the judge made his findings, it was almost like it turned into the story "The Empress New Clothes."
Mm,
So if I said anything other than "Oh, that guy, that I've got it wrong. Oh, mummy's confused," that was the narrative. Then got the wrong idea. She's got a false belief system. She put a sinister interpretation on what the boys were trying to tell me, and
mhm.
then I've got a bitchy little social worker, like just like, admit you've caused emotional harm. Can you admit you've caused emotional harm? No, I can't admit that because I didn't cause my boys any emotional harm. I tried to protect them from an absolute evil monster. These people are just, I'm getting worked up now just thinking
I'm
about
so
this.
sorry, I'm so sorry.
They're
Yeah.
just so cruel. They're
Mhm.
so cruel. You can see, parent who's suffering, who's, I lost a ton.
Okay.
Okay. It just
Oh,
froze them for a bit. So I just,
okay. Good. Well, okay, because I was gonna just send you a message saying, "Are you there?" Sorry about that. I don't know why I did that.
it's okay. Where did you hear up until?
W the parental alienation, we were talking about parental alienation.
Did you hear me talking about so I talked about social services and the other court workers and how,
No, you must have
oh,
been talking because I
yeah.
kept waiting because you had frozen and I was waiting and I'm going, "Okay, I'm gonna wait."
Yeah, I just started to talk about the abhorrent treatment by the social services and the Kafkas workers, which are Kafkas is like your guardian ad litems over there.
Mhm,
Um, they're just hired sociopaths who have no emotions, no empathy.
mhm, and they really some of them now, as far as CAFCAS, we have CPS caseworkers, and a lot
Yeah,
of these people don't even have kids of their own, so they
no,
don't even know how to even talk to your kids or relate to
no,
you as a family.
no. You wouldn't even leave them to look after your pet mouse, would you? Some of these
No,
people, you would
not at
let
all.
them hear you otherwise, and they're acting like they know everything.
Mhm,
And it's the same with the family court appointed psychologists as well. They're
mhm.
paid an absolute arm and leg, the absolute thousands of pounds, just to make a report based on the judge's findings. Well, if they're false, how on earth is a psychological report going to be realistic and correct? Nowhere near.
Mhm. Well, this is like the witch trials. They just believe everything they hear, and they're going off of what even what a child was coached to say.
Yeah,
'Cause and it's really not the fault of the child that's being coached because they have to go back and live with that parent that's emotionally abusive,
yeah,
that's telling them what to tell the judge.
yeah, absolutely.
And I think if these judges, well, they should be saying to the child, "Who drove you here, and what did they tell you to tell me?"
Yeah, exactly. Well, my children didn't meet the judge, you
Mm.
know. Not, I don't think that would have made any difference to him. The man had already decided he he likes paedophiles. Judge Lee, I have evidence of that. I've got evidence of him being friendly with a now convicted paedophile in the Nottinghamshire area called Andrews Loggins, who is now serving a 20-year sentence. He was on friendly terms with this man. He sponsored him on a fun run. So these are the people that Judge Lee is friendly with. So it says a lot about him.
Mm-hmm.
But he does this. He does similar to other parents as well. I know of another case. She hasn't been speaking out. So keep this anonymously, obviously. But it was a very similar case to me. He thinks very low of women who try to protect their children. He has a disdain for confident women who are protective and who can see through his hedonistic lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I won't go into too much detail, but I've had another whistleblower come forward that I've spoke about in another interview, who had some information about Judge Lee on a personal basis as well, and this person saw evidence of him encouraging a friend of his to commit perjury in a civil case. So there you go.
Right. And these caseworkers also have no problem perjuring themselves on the stand. They have no
No,
problem. And then, I was told that the judge will just go off what was told to them by this CPS caseworker, just be prepared. Another nurse had told me that, and I thought, oh, they can't think for themselves? I really? And again, like you said, we're all naive. We go in there blindly thinking they're going to do the right thing.
yeah, you do. You just think they are. You just assume they are. But in actual fact, your children then are then, in extreme danger of something terrible happening. You've got obviously you've got little Tommy Valver.
Mm-hmm.
Just heartbreaking case, absolutely heartbreaking. The amount of evidence that was against his father was astronomical,
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable. And the school had even made several reports to the CPS over there, and they were completely ignored,
Mm-hmm.
completely. And then, as it transpires further down the line, it took a little boy to be murdered by his father to then get the other boys back to the mum. And they started to disclose satanic ritual abuse through the therapist as they were back in the mother's care, away from the father. He's obviously in prison, as is his girlfriend. And they started to make disclosures of ritual abuse. So, and obviously, the police didn't investigate the cameras that they had up there, which goodness knows who they're trying to protect there, because there was many other perpetrators involved. And it just makes you wonder how high up these people were.
Mm-hmm.
And the father, he had massive deposits into his bank account of over $100,000 each month.
Yeah, that whole case was heartbreaking, and I know it shook our nation to
Yeah,
hear what that child went through.
yeah, absolutely. And then there's a case of Kara Witowski,
Mm-hmm.
and he's still got shared custody with a daughter.
Now, I thought I had saw that he was, well, what was he in prison but then out on bail? I can't. I've been trying to follow this.
Yeah, no, he's been arrested but then released. But
Yes.
there's evidence of rape with this precious little toddler.
Mm-hmm.
There's clear evidence, and they tried to cover it up. And
Mm-hmm.
their mum, bless her, she's only young. She's fighting it with everything that she's got.
Mm-hmm.
And her daughter's in danger because this man is. She's having to share custody. This man he's got his freedom, and he's looking after. He's now a threat to her daughter and other children.
Mm-hmm.
Got so much evidence. It's just unbelievable almost how this can
Mm-hmm.
happen. You just think, how many children have to die? So many have been murdered with a family court.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're bothered at all. It's like, what will it take for changes to be made to this child trafficking system?
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly. It is a child trafficking system. It's I have no words. Between the foster care system, children just being taken away and saying, Here's a garbage bag, put all your clothes in there, and when we're going."
Yeah. The abuse and the harm that they cause to our children, and then they have the audacity to turn around and call us the child abusers when in fact we've done nothing but tried to protect them.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
it's happening to so many of us. It's yeah, I just don't know what can be done other than people like us exposing it, and trying to get our word, the word out on our platforms, and
Mhm.
because the mainstream just don't seem to be touching it. I mean, I know it's even worse in England. It's just as bad in both countries, but it's even worse in the secrecy laws that we have.
Mhm.
They're even worse than that. There's some secrecy act that came in the 1960s. That there's the press over here have got a gagging order on my case that they can't even. So I can't even get my story out in the mainstream media because they've got all these threats and this gagging order just that they can't even say my name.
Yeah, because they're hiding things. They don't want it to get out, and they
Yeah.
wanna make their money. It's at the cost of good families and these children that are being abused and eventually murdered.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, as soon as I was banned from court, I just thought I have to use my voice now because they've left me with no other option.
Mhm.
If I'm not going to see my sons for this amount of time, I'm not just going to sit there quietly and wait for something horrific to happen.
Mhm.
I just think, the louder I am, the safer my boys are.
Mhm. Now can
And
I
I know
ask
I'll get them back. I just know I will get them back. And
Mhm.
I really want to help others by changing this system. I can't really do much to help others now other than sharing my story and exposing the family court and people reading my book and what's happened to me. But hopefully I can help in some way and get laws changed at some point as well.
Mhm. Now, when was the last time you saw them?
December 2017. That was so 3 years and 8 months ago. I was seeing them once a fortnight, supervised by social workers. And then a man known to me for a short time took it upon himself to commit arson to the house that they'd just moved into. The boys had just moved into the house with their father and his girlfriend. It was his girlfriend's house. She's nothing to do with this. They were away on a ski holiday, and this man known to me at that time, he's now in prison, but he took it upon himself to commit arson to that house. So for that reason, because I knew this man, this vile family court judge barred me from any contact. No evidence of collusion, nothing, because obviously I would know that that's not going to help in any way, shape, or form. But yet the family court said that I must have known about his plans. So
Hmm.
again, they just make things up
Right.
with zero evidence.
And they assume things and they just I
Yeah, they
think
just
and
must know.
yeah, I think they do that just to get the case over with.
Yeah, and they also, yeah, I think, I mean, I knew this judge, this next judge actually looked like a nasty piece of work, because
Mhm.
Judge didn't particularly. Now he does look like what he because I've seen his behaviour, but he was quite calm in court, and
Mhm.
he didn't shout or anything. Whereas this second judge, this woman, she actually looked like a complete nasty piece of work, and gosh, she certainly lived up to that. Absolute monster of a woman. And
Mhm.
that's another thing, you can go in and assume that female judges will be more favourable, will be maternal kind of. That's absolutely no load of nonsense. They're not.
Right. Oh, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I've experienced that myself, totally. You can't trust any of them to have good judgment.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. And I think this balance of probability needs to stop as well, because
Mhm.
it's just enabling them to commit their crimes behind closed doors
Mhm.
because they don't have to prove anything.
Right. And they're just letting this go. And how is your mother handling all this?
Well, mum, her, my mum and my brother-in-law actually. were imprisoned for some time because they were convicted of perjury, because when me and the boys were hiding back in March and April 2017, my family were dragged into court. Not literally, but they were, well, actually they were arrested and then made to appear, subpoenaed into family court. And the judge shouted at them and said, "Where are they hiding? Tell us where they are." So they said, "I don't know." So later on, so he handed it over to the police. And then after we were found and my boys were stolen by the authorities and all the rest of it. And then there was this police investigation going on that found evidence that my mum and my brother-in-law knew where we were. So that ended in a trial. And then they were both sent to prison. So my mum was in prison in her early 60s, and they were given 8-month prison sentences, served I think 9 weeks each, and that was from November 2019 to January 2020. So they were both in prison for Christmas. My brother-in-law was in prison for his birthday as well. So shocking, vile system. Sorry, I probably overused the word vile.
Oh no, we can't say vile enough here. Really,
yeah.
I mean,
it's my most used word, I think.
It's shocking. It's vile. It's a crazy system that is just abusing good, fit parents.
It is. It really is. And they want to destroy us. They want to see us probably on the streets with nowhere to live and just, addicted to whatever, alcohol and everything. So we have to keep ourselves healthy, strong, and, and keep going for our children and for other children and safe parents, and just to prove, where you're not going to get us down. You're not going to win.
Right. Yeah, we cannot let them win. I know that there have been parents that have committed suicide. And, I think we've all been pushed to that brink, that dark edge where we're thinking things, because it's so bad and you've got a very vindictive judge. And you have to, I hate to use the word, snap yourself out of it and say, I need to live through this, not only for my children, but to just irritate the ex, because if you live, you're doing nothing but irritating the ex.
Absolutely. And you've got to thrive as well. I know it's difficult in our positions, but you've got to really, life is precious, isn't it? And you've got to really take care of yourself and make sure that you're living a life that is, that you're just trying to do something to make a difference for other people and for our children, obviously, first and foremost.
And people should, not even consider suicide, because suicides can run in the family. It's been proven that, if you do something like that, your child may do the same thing.
Absolutely, yeah. That is it. It's that desperation and, a generational almost link can sometimes run down the family with behaviours. So, yeah, we have to just literally just be as strong as we can, because life is short anyway, isn't it? And we have these years fly by, even though it's been a nightmare. I don't know about you, but it just seems to go faster and faster each year, and time is ticking, and we've just got to keep going, keep strong, keep fit and healthy, and just keep fighting, but also be thriving as well through it. I think it's important to do that, and to not let our emotions get the better of us, and to keep on top of it. And I have to detach myself quite a lot just to get through certain scenarios. Like if I see children of my boys' age, if I see boys, I just have to literally snap myself out of it. Just think of a distraction, like, oh, look at that dog over there, or just something, just focus, just to switch my focus on an animal or something, and just think, no, they're not my children. It's fine. It's going to be okay. I will get my boys back, and I will, and just turn it into something else. But yeah, it's never take your life, because it's just, you just think about your children, just think about how they're going to feel, and and besides, your life is precious, as well, very precious. So that's what I would say to any parents who are listening, who are feeling desperate. And you're not alone in this. There are lots of us many of us. Yeah.
Exactly. People don't realize how many, and you said it, how many people are in this. We're not alone. There's some more people out there that aren't even talking about this. And I hope people will listen to this and listen to you when you talk on your platforms,
Yeah.
because people need to know it's okay to talk about it and not to even be ashamed about it. In fact, maybe a good example is I was at a family reunion with my husband, my current husband, and someone said, "Oh, hey, how's your nursing job going at the hospital?" And I said, "Oh no, I lost my job due to false allegations, and then my children were illegally taken from me based on those false allegations." And they were totally shocked.
Mm.
And they asked a couple more questions, and then they slithered off. See,
Mm.
people are like shocked. They don't know this stuff goes on. But I
Yeah.
think we're there to say, this is what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, yeah, you can, like, I just literally used to tell everyone my story, and
Mm-hmm.
now I kind of pick and choose, because I just think, do I want to share with this person? Is this person, uh, do I trust this person from what I've seen? You never know, but you can trust anyone. But
Mm-hmm.
what I only share now with people who I just think, are going to respond in a certain way. But
Mm-hmm.
some people just don't care, or they think, oh no, it's just too far fetched. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. They might feel a bit sorry for you, but then just think, oh, surely your sons can't have been that badly abused. Surely
Mm-hmm.
he can't have done that. The people, or some people, empathize, but then just turn away and just think, I'm glad it's not me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's important to talk about it, but also keep ourselves safe, in a safe place when we're doing it, and only talk to the people we want to get the message out to. Not on a daily basis. You can't be telling everyone your story, can you? For
Mm-hmm.
me, sometimes I could get very upset, and other times, if I know what I'll be talking about, like if I'm in this interview setup, I can really, it's absolutely fine, and I can usually keep myself in a safe place. I know what I'm doing, and I've built up to it. But if someone randomly asks, "Oh, have you got children?" who doesn't, that can just throw me,
Mm-hmm.
and I might start tearing up
Mm-hmm.
and just think, "Oh, sorry, something awful has happened, and I don't really feel like sharing it now." But yeah, it catches you off guard at times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Some parents will say, "Oh, I just have the one," or "I just don't have any." Some
Oh,
parents will just avoid
yeah.
it at all.
Yeah,
Um,
I understand that. I understand that. I couldn't. I don't think I could say that, because it just feel too. I'd probably end up crying if I said that.
mhm,
I don't think I could say that. But I understand how people can say that, just to
mhm,
protect themselves from any questions. And
mhm,
it's just, there's no set way of dealing with that, is there really? I don't go and socialize now with a number of people, unless it's people who are in my close circle. If it was others and they would start to talk about the children, I never put myself in that situation. That life has changed. I'm not bothered going out socializing. I'm just not interested.
mhm,
I'm not a complete hermit, but things change, don't they? And
mhm,
life changes. And you know which situations to go in and which ones not to go
mm.
into anymore.
Right, and it's also good to be careful who you talk to, as you said earlier, because,
Mm.
these, flying monkeys are everywhere,
Mhm.
I have found, so
They really are, yeah. You just don't know who to trust. I mean, people, yeah, there are the friends of his the mutual friends that I told immediately after the boys disclosed, and they didn't believe me. They took his side, these two women, and they will find out one day. But it's all very well. They probably think paedophiles exist, but it can't be a friend of theirs. You
mm,
know,
mhm.
who doesn't act like a paedophile, because they don't act like paedophiles when they're out and about, do they?
Yeah, people have a lot to learn. They really, it just amazes me that people will just listen to a lie and not investigate the other side of the story.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is the thing. It's that this is the most treacherous thing in these times is deception.
Mhm.
And so many are deceived. So many are under the spell of deception.
Yeah, and they'll just go along with the false narrative of what they're being told by this person that is obviously doing all the lying. I just can't believe people can't think for themselves. That just dumbfounds me.
I know. I know. Exactly. It's yeah. And even in the face of evidence, they're just not interested.
Mm-mm.
They
Until it
can't.
happens to them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Because
Yeah. And you wouldn't want to wish it on them, would you? Because it involves children, but you almost think, I wish you knew how it felt.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, because it's just, I don't know. People have to wake up and realize this is going on, and I encourage people to go into family court and sit and watch how these people, how these families are being handled, and how these children are being handled.
Absolutely. Can you do that in the USA?
Yes, we can have people unless the judge closes the court,
Yeah.
which I don't know how often that happens, at least in my case, the court doors were always open. It's
Yeah.
just I did at that time, I didn't know about court watchers, but,
Uh,
grab people that are retired that don't have anything better to do, go into the courtroom and just sit and watch a couple cases every day, take notes.
well, they can't do that in England, unfortunately. But yeah,
Oh,
do that. If you're in America, do that. But no, they're not allowed to do that in England. They're all closed. Apart from some appeals, all the family court hearings are all done completely in secret. And permission has to be even sought, even to get a reporter in there. And that is only when they've been allowed in. And that is extremely rare too.
see, this veil of secrecy has to go. This is why they're hiding things.
Yeah,
And I would like to see video cameras and tamper-proof mics in every courtroom. Fa
absolutely.
family court, criminal court, civil court. It's
Yes.
some people want juried family court settings, but that would be like an astronomical amount of court or money that and the thing is what people don't realize that sometimes they have to pay for the juries to sit there.
Really. Wow.
Like there's
And so
hidden costs.
yeah, you don't even think about that, do you? But yeah, and sometimes you could get group think, I think they call it, where there's in a jury, so you get a leader. So if that leader has a negative opinion of which is not going to help the truth, it's on the wrong side, then they sometimes can influence the rest of the group.
Mhm,
Um, but yeah, I think it's better than a single judge for sure. But yeah, absolutely. The I mean, I'm with you. I think the whole family court should be completely abolished.
mhm,
It's not fit for purpose.
mm-mm.
They're abusers. It's simple as that. They're abusers, and they're creating utter havoc with our families.
And
Creating
right, and I also think we should just abolish the CPS system as well. It
yeah.
didn't s yeah, it didn't serve Thomas Felva
No, we
well,
didn't.
you know,
No.
you see, and the thing is, and what people don't understand is that they are chasing around false allegations, which happened to you and myself,
Absolutely.
and they'll put their time and energy into those cases, but when there's a child suffering in a basement or a garage,
Yeah.
they're not going after those cases.
No, the ones who were losing drastic amounts of weight, like Thomas and his brothers were, and coming in with urine-soaked clothing, they're not
Mhm,
doing anything like that. Coming in with bruising all over the body, screaming, getting upset about seemingly nothing thing because they're being so severely abused.
mhm,
Yeah, I agree. Social services is not fit for purpose. We do a much better job of taking care of our own children, and you know. From a community point of view, like some, I don't know, some tribes in Africa probably do that a better job of keeping their children safe than we do in so-called westernized countries like ours.
mhm. Yeah, it's a sad situation for good
Yeah,
fit parents,
yeah,
and I think everyone is at a loss on how to fix this or get rid of this. You know, they're more upset over COVID when they really should be more upset over child trafficking.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, it just shows the brainwashing of the nation, doesn't it, when that's all they can focus on.
Mhm. Yes. Well, I mean, I'm so glad I had you on, and I'd like to have you back on as a return guest.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you for having me on, Maryann.
Yeah, it was very heroic of you to speak out, and I hope this encourages other good fit parents, moms and dads to speak out.
Yeah,
And
I would
again,
encourage others to speak up about the stories, yeah, like you say, mum and dads, and share your story. And, you know, our voices collectively can be a lot more powerful.
mhm. And your book is titled Everything is Going to Be Okay
Yeah, yeah.
by Samantha Baldwin, and it can be found on Amazon and Kindle.
That's right. Yeah, I'd encourage people to read that, and it also gives clear descriptions of the signs to look out for that your child is being abused, because we just aren't educated about these signs. You know, we just wrongly assume that our children are safe if they're in the care of family, not realizing family can be the number one abusers. So
Mhm,
everything's in there. Um, and it also warns against the family court as well. And
mhm,
it's been given some very good reviews, so I would
mhm.
encourage people to read that.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think I've mentioned everything. Just want to warn about the family court, and I would just say spread the word to other people. Just talk about this issue, even if you're not directly affected. You know, we need more people to spread the word and to share this utter nightmare that is going on in the secret family court.
I agree. Yes, and that's what we will do.
Yeah,
S Definitely. So Slam the Gavel's a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these family courtrooms that in turn perpetuate parental alienation. I'm your host, Maryann Petri, author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, and Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth. Please join us again with Samantha and other guests in the future for another exciting episode. Again, thank you so much for speaking out, Samantha Baldwin.
you're very welcome. Thank you.